I get excited. I'm like, oh yes, okay, and that keeps me going, knowing that I don't have to wait 3 days to hear back from you really helps a lot.
Yes.
It helps with the momentum, because I don't always get the opportunity to jump on it and do the work, but when I'm on it and I'm like in the zone, I love that, within 24 hours or less, you responded to me. Sometimes you responded to me within 2-3 hours, which is remarkable. I'm like, thank you. And it helps me to keep going while I still have the time to focus on the work, which has been great so far. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone. As a matter of fact, if I meet anyone that's in my position where I'm at right now and they need to, I'm definitely going to bring them your way, because so far it's definitely been worth the investment, and I'm really happy so far.
For me, I'm accomplishing my goals because there's detailed process, step-by-step process in your program as to what to achieve each week. And then we have a call each Friday to go over what we have accomplished and if we have any differences and any issues. So for me, I love it because it's a step-by-step process. You hold our hands through the beginning to the end, and it's made me see, all the things that I needed to get done, and I'm getting them done because there is accountability to getting them done and staying on track. So I do love that about the program.
I would say that if you want to grow your business, even if you're not sure what you want to do, this is a great program to be able to figure out what your niche is, or just to learn more about how to market your business. There's also the camaraderie, the support that you get. You're not alone. You're only alone if you choose to be. But the support and the help, whether it's with you, Sunday, or with someone else that's in the group, it's a great opportunity to learn, build, and explore and expand.
So the program overall was great. The initial start of the program was kind of crazy because I didn't know what I was getting into. I really didn't understand what we were going to do. I thought we were going to kind of just talk about travel, how we were going to, call people and say, hey, book a trip with me, or send out some mail to people, not email, but mail. So once I kind of caught the groove of the classes and the trainings and working through that process of it, it became like real easy, real simple.
Okay, so permission to be raw, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I said, number one, she looks like me,
Awesome. That's exactly what I want to hear.
And it's good. I'm not biased or anything, but it was just the fact that it's hard to find someone to relate to you who knows. I've been told, don't post your picture and on your business in case there's someone who's not of your race and they won't book with you. And I'm like, well, how are they going to know who I am, right? So when I saw you, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with her. And then I like that you were raw. You didn't beat around the bush. You just said what you had to say. I heard about the beads in your head, and I'm like, who is she talking to? So I just liked it. I love the real you and how you let it be known. If you don't like it, then you might have to go somewhere else. And that's the kind of business that I want. I don't want to have to be a different person just so I can make money. So that was one of the main reasons.
Happy Monday. How are you guys doing today? I am so excited to be here the week of Thanksgiving. Are you guys ready for a turkey day? Let me know in the comments. Let me know where you are listening from and what you are drinking. So I am in Georgia and I am drinking water today. So let me know in the comments where you are drinking and where you are listening from. So as people start to join and get on, I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes, and I'm just about as ready as I'm gonna be for Turkey Day, which is just in 4 days now. You know what I'm really excited about this Thanksgiving is really taking the time off and really like just like decompressing. So like what are you excited? Jazz, great to see you. How are you doing? You two are drinking water. That's no fun at all. All right, we've got protein shake from Detroit. We've got Marilyn not drinking anything yet. Well, Tracy, if you are new to me, you need to always come to these live sessions drinking something and having something in your hand. All right. Hey, Carolyn, nice to see you. Nice to have you on drinking water. So we got a lot of water drinkers because you guys need to stay hydrated for all the cooking you're doing, I assume, right? You've come to happy hour with only water, which I have an excuse as to the reason why I have nothing stiffer than water in my cup. But what is your excuse? All right, cranberry juice, no vodka, cranberry juice, and you're coming from Orlando, Florida. So there's a lot of healthy drinkers joining us today. So lots of water drinkers, some juice drinkers, some old faces and some new faces. So I always start by saying that I'm always very glad to be here, but I'm especially glad to be here. This being my second live after almost a month and a half hiatus. Red wine. Ha! Mona Lovejoy drinking the red wine. So she is our first spirit drinker of the evening. So glad to have you. Working third shift. All right, Caroline, you have a legitimate reason why you also are drinking water as well. So this is my second live in the last several weeks. I had a bit of a health hiatus, and I would say that I am not fully 100, but I am certainly climbing my way back to being 100 prior to my incident. So I'm glad that you guys were able to join me live, and those that watch this in the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so today is a hot topic for many of us. So, I'm going to start in my normal fashion, which is ask you guys a few questions, and I love this session to be interactive. So I would love for you to respond in comments to either your answer, or I'll give you some direction on what you should be responding. So how many of you out there, so I know based on who's listening, how many of you out there want to leave your current 9 to 5? If that is you, put a 1 in the comments. If no, put a 0. If you are happy with where you are, or maybe you've already left it, put a 0. But if you want to leave your current 9 to 5 job, put a 1 in the comments so I can see how many people are in this situation now. All right, so we're getting a few 1s coming in, not any 0s. Tamika, you've already left. Congratulations, Tamika. We are putting up our water to you, Tamika. We've got a few 0s. Tamika, you would be officially classified as a 0 because you've already left. Jazz, it's really good to see your name, Jazz. I miss you tremendously. But we are seeing and we are getting a few 1s in the audience. All right. So the question that I have for the 1s is, why do you want to leave? Is it because of a boss? Is it because of stress? What is the reason that you want to leave your 9 to 5? Have you thought about it? I read a statistic many, many years ago, and this was probably my 10th or 5th job hop by then. So, my career in corporate America was I graduated college and I lasted my first job out of college, I think about 3 years. And pretty much that was my tenure at most jobs after that, is I bounced every 3 years, probably about every 2 to 3 years. And I was searching for something, but mostly left because of just not happy. I wasn't happy. And the statistic that I read is the reason why that people quit their job is because they want to quit their boss. So they want to quit their boss. And so is the reason that you want to leave at your 9 to 5 because of your boss? Or is it some other reason? And whatever that reason is, put it in the comments. All right, so we've got some who are saying that they want to leave at their 9 to 5 because of management, no movement financially. You know, I quit my job every 3 years because I was trying to get higher pay. I was like, boom, I can't get higher, you know, because I was just getting incremental pay increases, you know, cost of living increases is what they say, you know, and I am highly ambitious. And I was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to go make $10,000 more. So I'm just going to leave and I'm going to go to the next highest bidder, right? All right. So I'm doing a gig driving, but want to do travel full time and not have to gig anymore. All right. So you don't have an official 9 to 5. You have you work for yourself, stress and management, right? So your number one whys, it seems pretty consistent that most people want to leave their 9 to 5 because of management. So here's the question. I was writing out the description for this last night, and I was thinking, you know, yeah, I quit my 9 to 5, but now I'm the boss, right? Are you guys ready to be the boss? Like, are you quitting your job because you want to be the boss? You want to be the one that calls all the shots. If that's you, put a 1 in the comments. Like, are you the one? Are you ready to take control and take the reins of your own business and your own life? And that's your reason, is that you want to be the reign controller, so to speak? Is that your reason why you want to leave your 9 to 5? Is that you want to be your own reign controller? You want to take control of the reins, and you want to be the shot caller, so to speak, right? You want to be the boss, right? All right. So you know, I can respect that. All right. Number 2 question is, you know, you're in your 9 to 5 now. Tanika has already quit. Another lady said that she's already quit and she's doing gig work. And so my question to you tonight is, do you know what your trigger is? Like, what's the trigger that's going to say, I quit, I'm done, deuces, adios amigos, see you on another life, see you at the bar at 5 o'clock on Mondays? Like, what's the trigger that's going to be the thing that says I'm ready to go? And type of 1, if you don't have a trigger, like you've never even thought about the trigger. Like, if you don't know what the trigger is, type of 1. Type of 0 if you know what the trigger is. If you know what is the thing or things that need to happen for you to quit your job, put a 0. If you know the thing, put a 0. Put a 1 if you have no idea what the trigger is, right? And it doesn't count if one of the triggers is like, take this job and shove it because you've had enough of your boss's shit and you're just like, I'm done with you, right? If it's an emotional trigger, you still have to put a 1. But if it's like a defined trigger, you can put a 0. If you don't know what your trigger is, you can put a 1. That's fine. That's okay. That's all right, because that's what we're going to talk about today. And so my last question to you today is do you want to leave with a 6-figure business, or are you prepared to leave just, you know, whenever you hit that trigger? Like, what, like, is your decision to leave your 9 to 5 based on you hitting 6 figures, or that's not important to you? Just put a yes or no. 0, 6 years to retirement. Okay, so your trigger is a retirement trigger, Tracy, which is fair. That's fair. I can respect the retirement trigger, not being so far from retirement myself. All right, so my last question was, do you need to have 6 figures in your business before you quit? That's a yes or no. Either yes you do or no you don't. What is, like, do you need to have 6 figures in your travel business before you decide to quit your business? Or would it just be nice? Maybe your answer is yes, yes, absolutely, or no, or it would be nice. Like, would it be nice to have 6 figures, or you haven't really thought about it? No. Okay, six figures is not a requirement, but would it be nice to have six figures in your travel business? Nope, not a requirement. Okay, Jazz, you're already not doing. You can't answer, Jazz. You've already quit. You were a zero on question number one. 25 years on the job, and I'm focused completely on my business, close to six figures or not. All right. Yes. Okay. All right. So before we continue, there are some new faces, so let me introduce myself. My name is Sunday Gardner. I also refer to myself as the online travel boss, and I come to you. I won't even say a time because my health is not 100%, but I come to you all pretty regularly, teaching you all things launching, marketing, and operating a successful and profitable travel business. And tonight we are going to talk about leaving your 9 to 5 for your six-figure travel business and loving the business that you create. And the loving the business that you create is very important to me, and has a special meaning to me about that. So, I am a multi, I would say a serial entrepreneur. Up until about 3 years ago, and I really found what it is that I loved in terms of my entrepreneurial journey, which is coaching travel professionals. I was starting businesses, and I am a project manager by trade. So I come from an IT background, certified project manager. And so I love the start and finish and conclusion of projects. And starting businesses for me was a start and a conclusion, right? Because I could start a business, help somebody start a business, and pass it off to them to go run it. So I love the excitement of starting businesses. So that's what I've been doing for over 20 years now. I've helped businesses start. I've helped projects implement new products. I've done a myriad of different things in the start and ending of projects, and I love the feel of that. That gives me sort of an adrenaline rush. And so, in that desire, I had quit my 9 to 5. I quit my corporate job a couple of times in the pursuit of my entrepreneurial dreams, and did them for all of the reasons that many of you all did them. But what I discovered in that process of going after my dream is that I was building a business that I hated, right? So we're going to talk tonight about how to know when it's a good time to decide to unemotionally give them the middle finger, so to speak, right? And pursue your travel business full time. But not only do that, but create a business that you absolutely love. Are you guys game for that tonight? Are you game to learn what I've learned over the several years of being a serial entrepreneur, and what it takes to go after your dreams, quit that 9 to 5, and then create a business that you love? Are you guys excited about do that? Let me know in the comments, because I do love comments, or you could always put some hearts and let me know that as well. Let me know in the comments if you guys are ready to pursue the discovery of what it's going to take to quit that job and really build a business that you love, right? Not only, because listen, here's the thing. I've done it. I've quit my 9 to 5, and I threw my entire self into that business, right? I was like, all y'all can kiss it where the sun don't shine. I'm going after my dreams. I remember I had a contract that was ending. I think this was several years ago. And I told my boss at the time, I was like, yep, I'm not pursuing any more contracts. I'm going to go and I'm doing this thing full time. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, like I do, like she didn't know about my side hustle. I was like, I do this on the side, and I'm about to do this, and deuces. I think it was back in 2013 is the first time I quit. My first time. So you hear that? The first time I quit my corporate job. So 2013, I was like, deuces, I'm out, right? And it was an emotional. I was under a lot of stress. My boss was tyrannical. And I was working, there's only 24 hours in a day, and I felt like I was working 28 hours in a day. I was making great money. It was the most money that I had ever made. But I had this burning desire that was like, I want more. There is more to my life than working 28 hours in a day and then being slave to the man. And yeah, the money is great, but I know my shit and I'm gonna go do my own thing. So I quit. And so here's the thing, I didn't have these things that we're going to talk about that I really think are the keys to you making the decision to quit, and what it takes. So you guys ready for that? So the first thing and what the first lesson I had to learn when I quit my job to pursue my entrepreneurial dreams was number one, which is, do you have an audience and a way to grow it consistently? So your first decision point, if you're ready to quit your 9 to 5, is, do you have an audience and a consistent way to grow that audience? And what do I mean by that? Right? So it's one thing to sell a few things, right? To have sold a few of your travel trips, right? Since we're talking about travel business, it's one thing to have sold a couple of trips, right? And to have sold them consistently, right? You could have like sold a trip to Jamaica, to the Aruba, to wherever, fill in the blank, and you've sold a couple of those things. But if you don't have an audience identified and a consistent way to grow that audience, then you are doomed for failure long term. And I hate to be the doomsday prepper or announcer or person that says, hey, like, are you really ready? But if that audience, and I'd like somebody to type in the word audience for me, and not only audience, but a way to grow that audience, right? Because businesses don't fail because they don't have a good idea, right? In a like, because we're still in a pandemic world, in a pandemic and hopefully soon to be post-pandemic world, right? The need for us is going to be greater. So the need to have educated travel professionals who know their shit, is the demand for us and our services is going to be high, right? So it's not because the idea is not good, right? Travel professionals are not dying. We're not a dying breed. It's not an obsolete profession to be in. It's not a business that is dying. It's a business that is growing, right? So businesses don't die because of the idea, right? And they don't fail because of the idea. They fail because no one knows them, right? So if you don't even know who it is that needs to know you, then you're doomed for failure, right? So the first thing that I want you to put down in your decision-making process to quit your 9 to 5 is find who your audience is. And it's not, so let's be clear who your audience is not. Your audience is not people who want to buy travel, because that's too big, right? Everybody potentially has to go from point A to point B at some time, sometime in their life. I'm actually reading this book, and it's a phenomenal read. And so if you haven't read it, let me tell you the name of it. And I don't have my Kindle with me right now, but the name of the book is 12 Months to $1 Million. And I don't even know who it's by. I just literally started reading this book a couple of weeks ago. And the one thing that he says that I thought was just phenomenal in this book is that, if you can identify who you speak to, who it is that you want to serve, and you can have the same product. Like, so one of the examples that they give in this book is that you literally, and they give this example of this guy who's selling coffee, right? Now, coffee is not a new product, right? We all drink a cup of Joe every morning, and maybe a couple of cups of Joe throughout the day, right? So if you're going to start to sell coffee grinds, right? Like, who do you sell? Well, I sell the coffee drinkers, right? Well, that's very broad. So is I sell the travel, right? But let me give you an example of what inside of this book, what the author talks about, how one of his students and what they did in terms of setting themselves apart. So this guy decides to sell coffee grinds, right? Or sell coffee. Now, coffee is, again, it's a staple product. It's considered a staple. Everybody's got coffee in their home. So how does he set himself apart? Well, he sells coffee to riflemen. Like his entire branding and his market is for people who are like pro guns, right? And I can't even remember the name of his coffee, like his coffee, but his audience was riflemen, people who like were pro guns, right? And so it was like and I think like the motto of his thing, I'll have to look this up and paste it in the description after this, but the motto in that in this guy's in his branding was like, if you do something like, if you love guns, then you love you love Rifleman coffee or something like that. And I was like, that's freaking brilliant, right? So the reason why he was able to sell in an area that's saturated, again, coffee is not new, but the reason why he was able to offer and make $1 million selling coffee was because he sold his coffee to a specific audience, right? And that's the same thing that you need to do in your travel business. If you want to see success, you're not trying to go after every single body in the marketplace. You're trying to identify a very specific audience that you can speak to. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. So not only do you need to identify that audience, you need to be able to grow your presence in front of that audience consistently. Does that make sense? Right? So number one decision point that you want to make when you want to leave your 9 to 5 is make sure that you have a clearly defined audience and a way to grow that audience in your travel business. Okay. All right. Number two is, right. So many of you who've been doing this travel business for a while or are thinking about doing this travel business is that you believe that your offer is I sell travel. And the reality is that, so what? Like, what is it about travel are you selling, right? Is it a service that is that you are going to create that's going to be the thing that you build your revenue around? So what I mean by that is, what is your offer? Like, what is your stick that you are going to have? And not only what is your one offer, what is your 1, 2, 3, and 4 offer? What is the reason that people will keep coming back to you? And so many of you in the travel arena space, what you do is you wait for somebody to pick up the phone and say, I want a quote, right? So you don't have a promotion cycle. You don't have offers that you consistently present for sale, or maybe you have too many offers. You're consistently grabbing whatever comes up. You're doing Aruba one day, you're doing Caribbean the other day, you're doing whatever blue light special every supplier that you're connected to has available. So you don't have a really defined offer, nor a series of products that your clients can buy to. Does that make sense, right? So your number two is that if you want to leave your 9 to 5, the reason why your 9 to 5 has you as an employee is because they have a defined offer and they have a role that you fill, right? So that's the same for you. If you want to leave your 9 to 5, you need to not only have one offer, but you need to have a series of offers that you've defined. So when the client buys one, you've got number 2, 3, 4, and 5 ready for them to buy. Because I will tell you, it's expensive as hell to get new clients, right? I could go and give you all of the back data in my because I am a data collector, all of the data that we've got in terms of the cost to acquire one client. But to repeat the sale with an existing client costs you nothing, right? So if you already have a client and you have them as repeat clients, right? Not only the one offer, but you have offer 2, 3, 4, or whatever, right? Them repeating buying from you is an easy thing. But oftentimes we don't have multiple offers to have. We don't have an ascension model. We don't have, right? And these terms are all marketing terms, right? And many people think, well, that doesn't apply to me. I don't need a product number 1, 2, and 3. Yes, you do, right? If you want to have a six-figure business, right? I'm reading 12 Months to a Millionaire, so you can imagine what kind of business I want, right? If you want to have a six-figure business, right, you need to have repeat clients and you need to have many of them, right? So you need to be at a particular price point that's going to attract the type of clients, so you don't have to have a whole lot of clients, but you also want to have repeat clients. So what's the one thing is you get a client to buy your Aruba trip, but that's all they ever buy from you, right? What is the number two thing that they're going to buy from you? What is the number three thing that they're going to buy from you? What is the multiple repeatness that you can set up inside of your travel business, right? So that's number two. What is your offer? Not only your first offer, but your second and your third offer going to be for your existing client base. Makes sense, right? So that's number two. So your number two decision is defining an offer, being super clear about that, not waiting for people to call you on the phone and say, I want to go to fill in the blank, but have a clear defined offer and then multiple offers as well for people to purchase. All right, that's number two. Are you guys ready for number three? So one of the questions that I asked you guys, and I'm kind of running through this, right? Because I'm not gonna lie, my back is beginning to hurt. I'm moving around, sort of being fidgety, but my back is beginning to hurt. But one of the questions I asked was, what is your trigger, right? Do you have a decision point that's going to say, okay, I'm ready to go, right? Someone has a very clear trigger point. They said that their decision point is retirement. As soon as I retire, I'm leaving the 9 to 5, I'm retiring, and I'm going to be going into my business, right? So that's a clearly defined trigger. But many of you answered one, so you don't have a trigger, or a fancy way of saying is an exit plan, right? And what I will tell you is, in my history, my exit plan was emotional. It was, I've had enough of your shit and I'm out, right? I don't need this. I'm bigger and I'm badder than this and I'm out, right? And that made me a recipe for disaster. And let me give you some reasons why that gives you a recipe for disaster. If you don't have an exit strategy from your 9 to 5 or doing this full time, or what have you, is that what happens is, and I'm going to give you my story directly. What happens is we had a cash reserve, but we ran through that really quickly because I was trying to figure this all out. I was trying to figure my business model out. I was trying to figure out what products were working and what weren't working. I was trying to figure out what I liked and what I didn't like, right? And so cash, we were burning through cash, right? We burned through cash really quick, right? I had our home expenses to handle. I had, business expenses to handle. And then I was going after every shiny object that was known to man. I am a software junkie. I can't even say that I'm a recovering junkie. I would say that I am in software rehab. That's the best way to describe it. I am in software rehab. And I digress just a little bit. So, one of my biggest things this year, as I started to take a look at where, this is the time of year that I take a look at where we've been and where we're going. And one of the things is financial management, right? So I hired a bookkeeper, a better bookkeeper. I had one, got a better bookkeeper, and we started painstakingly going through all of my expenses. And what became painfully obvious, I did this in a post a couple of weeks ago, is that I am a URL junkie. Like, I have 48 URLs, not all of them being used, right? That's a whole different topic that we'll do a whole special live on. But I have a lot of software. And so this explains part of the journey that I had when I jumped and I left corporate America. Is I had a lot of software because I was like, I want this, I want to automate this and I want to automate that, and I want to do this and I want to do that. So I bought like every shiny object that exists, and it appears that I still had quite a bit of that shiny object even this year as we started to purge out a lot of the unneeded software that we don't use in our organization. So, we burned through cash fairly quickly, and we didn't have an exit plan. We didn't even have the number 4, which is what I'm going to talk about in just a second. But I left for emotions, right? So I was like, I'm jumping. I can do this. And some people could say that, I have many entrepreneurs that I've, come across in my journey and in my life. And, I'll have many people, I've been in groups and they'll say, yes, I succeeded by fire. I had to succeed. So I jumped and I quit my 9 to 5 and I jumped, and it was dire. It was dire try, or however that saying goes. It was like, I had to do well, because if I didn't, I couldn't eat. Right. And the reality is, it doesn't work out for everybody like that. Right. I crashed and burned. I'm not afraid to say it. I crashed and burned the first, second, third time I quit corporate America. And I had to go back within 6 months, right? Because it's one thing, like, this is no shade on anybody's financial situation, but you go from 6 figures to 0 figures, right? You can't make 6 figures up fairly quickly in a new business, unless, of course, you hit on it. It's just, let me not even bullshit you. Like, you can't create a 6-figure business overnight. Like, I have heard, I don't know how much I believe it, but having done this for 5-6 years now, I know that this shit doesn't happen overnight. This shit doesn't happen. Like, you don't make 6 figures in your business by accident. Like, it's not like, oh, I just fell into it and boom, I had, 100, 500, 600 orders and I'm a millionaire now. That shit doesn't work, right? I'm here to bust any of your bubbles, right? Travel is an amazing business, but if you want to have 6, 7, 8 figure business, it's not going to happen by accident, right? It is literally what you will see and do is what I did. I ran myself into the ground, right? I was up, I quit a 9 to 5, right? Because I was working 28 hours to turn around and created a business that I'm working 28 hours. And not only that, I had to take on clients to make cash just so I could make ends meet. And it was miserable. I was freaking miserable. I hated my entrepreneurial job that I was now the boss at, right? So that was my first quit, right? I was a salon coach and I quit and I was like, I'm doing this full time. I got 3 clients. I was doing one-on-one coaching, and literally I threw in everything but the kitchen sink to do their one-on-one coaching. I was doing their marketing for them. I was effectively their virtual salon manager. I was doing everything for them, and they were paying me nothing, literally, for all of the work that I did. So, one, I didn't know my worth. I didn't know what I brought to the table, and I was so desperate to bring on those clients that I made decisions for my business out of desperation instead of out of strategy or out of what's the best thing for the business. Does that make sense? So without an exit plan, you find yourself in the same situation I found myself in, trying to make cash instead of trying to make a business. I was working so many hours trying to do the marketing, trying to do the selling, trying to do the fulfillment, that I literally was running myself into the ground. So my husband's like, you said, Ross Claude, you were going to be having more time, when you quit, and you're doing the same thing. I was slave to this computer in my own job, and I was my own boss. So not only did I quit a job because I didn't like my boss, I was the boss that I hated. I hated my own business because I didn't have an exit plan. Like, does that make sense? Like, to anybody? Like, does anybody envision themselves falling into that same trap? Or maybe you've fallen into that trap yourself. But that was certainly my story, right? I quit my 9 to 5. I was making 6 figures. I believed what I was seeing on social media and the laptop stories, right? I was like, I can do this. I remember having conversations with my business bestie, who since then is now one of my best friends now. And we were it was big, back in 2015, 14, right? The laptop lifestyle and rose gold was huge, right? And I would see all these ads with entrepreneurs sitting on the beach. And I was like, I like the beach, right? I can do this full time, right? Bump that 6-figure job. I'm out. I'm tired of the stress. There was, the 4-hour work week was a big book back then. I mean, it's still a great read, if you haven't read that book, but the 4-hour work week, and I was like, I'm smart as hell. I can do that. I can do that. We got some money in the bank. I can coast this out, and I could work it until I can make the 6 figures and replace the income. And the reality is that it doesn't work because I didn't have an audience. I had an offer, sort of. It was like I was really trying to figure it out. I mean, it certainly isn't what I'm doing now. I was really trying to figure out like online coaching and how I wanted to show up. And I had never sold anything online. I had sold in a brick and mortar. I had a salon business, a barbershop business, but I was new to the online space. I didn't know what that looked like and how to show up and sell there. So I was trying to figure things out. And so I didn't really have an offer that was well defined. I certainly was, I had a way to grow my audience, but I didn't really know how to show up for them. Like I didn't know that. And I certainly had no exit plan. Like I didn't know how to rinse and repeat like I do now, right? So the exit plan is super important. And what I wrote down in my notes is that the exit plan it can't be emotionally based, right? There needs to be a set of decision points and criteria that need to be checked off in your plan that allows you to gracefully exit right into your full-time job. So, for me, one of the things that was super critical in the leaving next time were a couple of key things. Sorry, one of the things that was super critical for me in this exit was having a team built. Like I didn't want to exit my corporate job and not already have a team built so that I wasn't going through a transition period of hiring, firing, a dip in sales as you get together your business processes. Because what you will find is every time, like your growth trajectory kind of goes like this, right? It's not like, boom, I'm soaring. Like you're going to grow to a point when you start to grow that you're going to have to take a step back and you're going to have to like readjust. So sales dip as a result of that, right? Does that make sense? Like, so it's really important that you have a support system. Now, that may not be your criteria, but that was a criteria for me, is that I wanted to have a team built that was already cranking and churning out. So when I quit, I just literally stepped into what we were already doing, and it wasn't going to be some major, oh shit, I've got to build a team, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, right? Does that make sense? So my criteria is pretty specific, right? Everybody's criteria is not the same. So what I want you not to do is I don't want you to go to your next door girlfriend who's also an entrepreneur and be like, what's your criteria for quitting, right? That's a personal decision and a personal, like, what is it going to take, right? Do you need to have healthcare in place, right? For me, I'm 48, right? And so, it was important that we have healthcare in place. We have a particular amount of money in the account before I felt confident that we were getting a certain number of sales on a consistent basis, that we had a team in place, right? So my exit plan was specific to me and my family and my situation, right? So that's going to be the same thing for you. So for the person who's, for retirement, right? I've got 5 years to retirement, right? Retirement is a trigger, right? But are there other criteria that you need to have in place before you feel like you really want to do this full time, right? 6 figures, I use that as an attraction word, but it may or may not be 6 figures. That is enough for you to decide that you're ready to leave your 9 to 5. So that's number 3 is your exit plan. Making sure that you have a well-defined exit plan for yourself, personally, professionally, and also talk to your family about what it looks like, right? Right? Because building a business that you love, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but it's certainly something that is a family experience, right? Because your family makes sacrifices. You make sacrifices, right? There's investments, there's sacrifices that are going to need to be made for you to build this business, and your family is a part of that. So exit plan and the criteria associated with exit plan is super important. All right, number 4 is, do you have a 6-figure plan, right? So you want to quit, you know what it's going to take, like what all needs to be set up for you to do it, but do you even have a 6-figure plan to get to 6 figures, right? So like, I'm going to pause for a second because I've been talking for a little bit. Like in the comments, do you guys have a plan for your travel business that's going to get you to six figures? Type a 1 if you do, and a 0 if you don't. I did that opposite. Normally it's the opposite. Tell me a 1 if you have a plan to get your business to six figures. 0 if you don't have a plan. Let me know in the comments. All right, so we got a couple of zeros coming in. One, awesome. All right, so I'm gonna give you a couple of things for you to consider when it comes to your six-figure travel business plan. The first thing is your price point, right? So many of you don't have a price point. First, I'm sorry, before I even talk about price point, let me talk about what I mean around price point, is that you need to know your numbers. You need to understand what it's going to take for you to get to six figures, because if you were selling, and I love to use this example because it's a really valid example. If you're selling Carnival Cruise and you're getting like $30 to $100 in commission, it is a long path to six figures in your travel business. Meaning your price point, it's going to take you way more customers for you to get to six figures than if you changed your product offering to a higher end offering. Now, many of you will tell me, well, you know what? I want to just go to groups and that's going to get me to six figures. Or I just want to start selling luxury and that's going to get me to six figures. But the reality is still, if you are not specific about the numbers, and you don't even know like how many clients you need to be getting per year, per quarter, per month, per week, whatever, at that particular price point, you're not going to hit six figures. End of story. Like if you don't know your offer, you don't know how much the price point for your offer, you're not going to get there. And if you don't have an audience, you're not going to get there, right? So the path to six figures is one, understanding what it takes to get to six figures, right? You know, simple math, right? If you do six figures divided by 12 months is 83, 33, 33 a month that you need to be bringing in to hit six figures in a year, right? So $8,333.33 is what you need to make every month in order to hit six figures in a year. Does that make sense, right? So I know that by heart, right? You divide that, you take that 8333, you could just round that off to 8,000 or 8,400, whichever you prefer, right? What do you need to be selling in your travel business that's going to get you that kind of revenue? Now, we are a commission-based business. Now, if you don't have service revenue, then you're solely relying on the commissions, right? So that's not gross sales, that's net to you after you're split with the agency, right? So do you even know what it's going to take financially in your travel business for you to hit six figures? To hit $8,400 a month in revenue, how many clients do you need to have? Right? So I'm not, we don't have the time. We're almost at the top of the hour. So we don't have the time to break all of that down. But I'm going to tell you the first path to six figures is understand what the numbers are to get you to six figures, right? How many clients do you need? What is your average selling price per trip that you need to be going after in order to hit six figures? What is it that you need to do in your travel business to get the clients that are going to support that average ticket price? So again, I use Carnival because everybody can relate to Carnival. Everybody loves cruises and everybody wants to sell cruises, right? But if you're selling a low-end cruise and your average customer is $800 to $1,000 on a trip, right? And your commission 16 blended is 10%, you're not making a lot. You're making 40, 50 to maybe a couple of $100 in commission. No shade on the commission. I'm just breaking the numbers down, right? How many of those trips do you need to book in order for you to hit six figures? Know your numbers. So that is the first thing in your six-figure plan that you need to know, is know what your numbers are and make sure that you are selling and you're positioning your travel business accordingly, right? So again, we don't have the time to break down the six-figure plan, but number 4 is before you decide to quit your 9 to 5, even if your goal isn't six-figure, scratch that 6 and put whatever figure it is, right? Whatever your figure is, do you have a plan to get there, right? And that needs to be a 1, right? So 1 is, yes, I have a plan to hit my fill in the blank figure goal for my business. That's going to allow me to be comfortable in whatever that looks like, because not everybody needs to be comfortable at 6-figure, right? That's a sexy term. I think $100,000 is really overplayed. I don't think it's enough to run a business personally, but everybody, like if you're a solopreneur and you're doing it by yourself, maybe it's enough, right? But for me, I think 6 figures is a bullshit number, right? Everybody wants to hit 6 figures, but the reality is 6 figures, that money runs out pretty quick, right? So that's why I say, if anything out of the plan that you need to know, it's your number, right? If it's 5 figures, 4 figures, I don't give a shit, right? Pick your number, just know what it takes to get there and align your business accordingly. All right. All right. So have you guys, did you guys get all 4 points? You want me to run through them really quick? All right. Give me some love in the comments if this has been helpful to you. And here's the thing. The first thing, and this is really on the six figure plan, is that there is some foundational items that you need to have in your business before you can make $1 in your business, right? Many of you will make $1. Many of you will be okay with just making the couple of dollars that you make or getting a couple of clients, and that's okay. But for many of you, just making a couple of dollars is not why you decided to be a travel professional, right? You decided to start a travel business. Many of you want to hit 5 figures. Many of you want to hit 6 figures. Many of you want to be 7 figures, right? You want this to be the thing that replaces your 9 to 5. And in order to do that, you need to have some foundational items in your business. And we've talked about a couple of those things, but I'm going to run through you sort of what I refer to as the building blocks of a successful travel business. The first is your niche, understanding who it is that your specialty is. Travel is large and broad. Understanding what your offer is, not waiting for the phone to ring, but to be actually clear about what your number 1 offer is, which I refer to as your money maker, but also what your number 2 and your number 3 offers are going to be, so that you have repeat business. The third thing is to have an ARC system. And I refer to that as your attraction, right? So how do you attract strangers to your business? How do you relate to them? And then ultimately, how do you sell and convert them into clients into your business? And then the last thing is operations, right? So you can have a business, but you can poorly operate it and never get a repeat business in your life. And so what I'm offering you is we have a boot camp, our last boot camp of the year, and that is going down on December 4th. And so if you are not registered, how many of you on live with me today are already registered for our boot camp that is December 4th? That is a free boot camp where I and my team, right, we're going to come and spend a day with you Saturday, right? I think that's in 2 Saturdays from this past Saturday, actually, 2 weeks from this Saturday that just passed. 2 weeks from now, me and my team are going to spend the day with you, and we're going to be talking about your building blocks and how you build those building blocks inside of your travel business, right? So if you are ready to quit your 9 to 5 and you're ready to put together your own exit plan, right? But you don't have all the pieces defined and you don't really understand what all those pieces are, then you're going to want to join us on the 4th of December. So I got a couple of people who are registered, which is super excited. We are all here. Like, we have been working behind the scenes like little Keebler elves, getting the boot camp ready, and we're super excited. But if you are not registered for our boot camp on the 4th, you're going to want to go ahead and do that. And so let me drop in the comments the URL for that. Give me 1 second and I will drop that right in the comments right here. And you can go ahead and register for that boot camp. That boot camp is free. It will cost you nothing but your time. And so our team, like I said, so it's going to be me and the program coaches and our client success team. And we are going to be spending that time with you, helping you really understand what it takes to build out a successful travel business. And if you're not registered, listen, you can't get any better than free. Our time for us to show up with you and help you work on those building blocks in your business. So I'm excited to be hosting that with our team. Our team is excited to be showing up here with you. And, I'm sort of glad to be back in the saddle. I kind of missed coming to you guys live. But as I climb the health ladder to get back to fully 100, I'm glad that I was here today. So let me know in the comments, was this helpful? Are you excited about getting yourself prepared to quit that 9 to 5 so that you can, it will feel good when you quit and you give them those walking papers. But we want you to be the most prepared when you do decide to make that decision and make that leap, right? So we are here to help you in that transition from a 9 to 5er to a full business owner. But again, as I said before, we want you to build a business that you love, right? We don't want you to become the boss that you hate, right? You start hating the business that you've created because you haven't really thought through what that transition plan from 9 to 5 is to being your own boss and really owning the reins to that, what that looks like, and how best to avoid some of the pitfalls that I personally have fallen down myself. So listen, it was great to be here with you guys today. Register for our boot camp. That's the last one of the year. And then that's it, folks, for 2021. That is the last boot camp, last major training that we are doing for the year. So you're going to want to grab and be a part of that, like I said, and I look forward to seeing you outside on that boot camp. It is my intention to be here next week, but the way that things are with my back, I sort of play it by ear. So today was a good day. The weekend was good, and so I hope to be here next Monday. If not, we for sure will see each other on the 4th on the boot camp day. Listen, you guys have a fabulous, safe, prosperous, hopefully full of friends and family, all the food that your belly can stand, Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for each and one of you all inside of our community. Love each and every one of you that I work with directly. And I hope that you have a fabulous Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.